Hey guys, welcome back to the Anime Collector. Last week I explained to you how the collection hobby can actually start to become a chore. And if left unchecked, it'll stop being the thing in your life that relieves your stress, and it'll start becoming the thing in your life that causes your stress. To quote Chuck Palahniuk from his novel Fight Club, the things you own end up owning you. This is especially true for collectors, and it's important to enter into the collection hobby with that in mind. Now, today I want to talk to you guys about the importance of how to maintain balance and why maintaining balance is such a significant way to prevent stress from taking over your life. So, when I was in college, I spent on average about 120 hours a week doing homework. And that doesn't leave me a lot of free time for things like sleep or a social life. So you might think that I didn't have a lot of time to watch anime in college, but actually it was exactly the opposite. I think I watched more anime in college than any other time in my entire life. Now try to understand that when I graduated from high school back in 2007, like most people, I was given graduation presents from my family. And I got quite a bit of money, and I actually spent close to $1,000 at Anime Expo in 2007. And over the course of those 4 days, I amassed a stack of DVDs that was actually a foot taller than I was. Now, this is what I mean when I say it's important to maintain balance. It's important to maintain a balance on how much anime you buy and how much anime you watch. Alright, now this is really important because I actually threw off the scale pretty significantly when I bought enough anime that it stacked up a foot over my head. However, because I studied visual effects, and the majority of that 120 hours a week doing homework was spent doing something artistic, it meant that I could multitask by doing whatever I needed to do, either on paper or in the computer, while also watching anime. So I had anime playing basically 24/7 when I was in college. And this is actually where I developed my sincere love for English dubs, because it was quite simply too exhausting to spend that much time translating Japanese to English in my head. And I found that I had to bite the bullet because I was taking too much focus away from the homework I was doing and the education I was trying to obtain. So I switched over to English, and I found it actually to be a pretty enjoyable experience. Now, I set a very dangerous precedent when I spent $1,000 at Anime Expo. I'm going to talk specifically on budgeting next week, but I want you guys to understand that in high school, my collection size was growing at a very steady rate. And then in 2007, it spiked. And then in college, it continued to grow at a steady rate. So what I mean by that is that even though I was spending about 15 hours a day watching anime in college, and I was working my way through this stack, every couple of animes I'd watch, I'd also add a couple more to the stack as I was buying things in college. Okay? By the year 2008, by Anime Expo 2008, this stack was nowhere near being completed. So if I spent another $1,000 at Anime Expo 2008, that stack would have been easily twice as tall as I was, if not more. Alright? This is why it's important to recognize the balance. You need to recognize how important it is to maintain a balance between how much anime you buy and how much anime you watch. Okay? Because this stack is what turns it from a hobby to a chore. This tower of anime starts to make you feel like you're obligated to watch it. Now, when I was in college, I had the time to watch it, but when I graduated college, and I had become accustomed to this sort of cycle of watching anime 15 hours a day, every day, once I graduated college and I got my first real job working at an architectural development firm, and I was really the only 3D guy there, so I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, making some real money. Every weekend, since I spent so much time working during the week, I'd spend the weekends with my fiance, who is now my wife, and we would go out shopping because we had the money for it. And I was continuing to buy anime at an alarming rate. When my collection started steadily increasing, spiked, steadily increased, and then once I got that job, it exploded. The rate was growing exponentially. And as you guys know, when I buy something new, I stick it in my collection halfway out. This represents a show that I have not had time to finish watching yet, or it's a show I just bought. So when I walk into the room, and this served me very well in college, when I wanted to watch shows that I had bought that were part of this stack, when that stack was put into my bookcase, I could recognize those shows because they were sticking halfway out. So I saved a lot of time walking into my studio, walking into my office, looking for shows to watch, when I just had to pick the shows that were sticking halfway out. Okay? Now, there was a time after a significant shopping spree one day, when I came home and I put all the shows into the collection, and I got everything put in alphabetical order, and I took a step back and I noticed that there were more shows sticking halfway out than there were shows pushed in. That's when I realized how significant this problem had become, because the balance was so off scale. I was buying anime significantly faster than I could watch it. All right? Now, try to understand, I had grown accustomed to watching anime 15 hours a day every day during college. I was still working 80 to 100 hours a week on work when I was in my job, but I wasn't allowed to watch anime there. So I'd get up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, and the only time I had to watch anime theoretically was on the weekend. And I spent that with my fiance, who is now my wife. And we didn't have a lot of time. We were watching anime together, but we were taking this enormous tower that was probably 100 feet tall. And we were chipping it away at it very, very slowly during the week, and we were adding more to it exponentially. This became a curse. The hobby definitely became a chore. It felt like I was paying an anime tax. Okay, this is how the addiction can consume you. This is how the things you own can start to own you. Guys, they say that it's a lot easier to stay in shape than to get in shape. So if you are in a situation where you have maintained balance, go out of your way, fight tooth and nail to keep it, okay? Because I'm in a perpetual cycle now that I don't think I'll ever get out of, all right? I have a stack of unwatched DVDs that is literally towering over me today. In college, I had 15 hours a day to watch anime. Now I'm lucky if I have 15 minutes a week to spend watching anime. Because once you get into the workforce, once you have to provide for your family, you really don't have any time to yourself anymore. And I want you to understand how vicious this cycle can be, that I want you to take the sanctity of this hobby and really recognize how important it is to maintain balance. Because once you have something towering over you, this pile of DVDs becomes an obligation. I feel like I have to watch anime in order to try to correct this balance. And as soon as you feel like you have to do your hobby, that's the moment where you don't want to do it anymore. Once you feel obligated to watch anime, you'd rather do anything but watch anime. I want you guys to really understand how important this is. Maintaining balance is the strongest stance you can take towards keeping your hobby the thing that relieves stress in your life, as opposed to the thing that causes stress in your life. Too much of a good thing will kill you. This hobby, this addiction, this stress will own you, and it will kill you if you let it. Now you might think that if you're the type of collector who exclusively watches fan subs and then buys DVDs when they really like the show, that you'd be off the hook. And I'm going to tell you right now that you're absolutely wrong. Okay? I am in this situation because I exclusively watch shows that I own. But you will find yourself in this same situation if you're downloading anime faster than you can watch it, because you're going to feel obligated to watch all these shows that you really want to see. And when you no longer have the time to do it, it's going to cause a lot of stress in your life. You're going to feel obligated by these digital files. This is why it's so important to stay on top of this balance. Maintain this balance, because it will hurt. It cuts deep. I definitely suggest that you guys tune in next week when I talk about budgeting, because I'm going to explain how in my particular situation I've managed to find ways to help curb this problem. Okay? This is an addiction. Make no mistake about it. Alright, let's go ahead and take these scales and pop them up on the shelf. If you haven't already, I want to suggest you guys check out the Super Dyneken channel that a buddy of mine started. I'll see you guys next week when we talk about budgets.